Who are you and what do you do for the viewers?
So my name is J.Pappas, and that's how I go as an artist. And I'm a producer, artist, musician. I've been putting music out since 2016. Yeah, and that's that's my spiel, I guess. That's
That's
who I
you,
am.
yeah. So how?
Yeah, I
Yeah, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, no, yeah, I was gonna say like yeah, I've been making music for a while, like since the age of 13. So
Yeah. So how did you get into it? What sort of drove you to go and pursue music as a career?
honestly, so I'd say like I've literally everybody says this, but like since a young age.
Yeah.
I've been really passionate about it, and I started off just like playing in bands, and I loved songwriting at like the age of 12.
Yeah.
And then I got more into the production side when I figured out like production was a thing. My school at the time offered a bunch of music tech courses, and I like fell in love with it instantly. I just
Mm.
liked having complete control over what you create. Um, yeah, and from there it just kept evolving, and I was learning more things, different DAWs. The first DAW I like started on was like GarageBand because I was just messing around on my like parents' MacBook, and then
Yeah.
I graduated to Logic. My friend just airdropped it to me one day. Um, yeah, I think most people that get started on Logic,
Yeah.
that's how they get it. But I bought it, so we're good. Don't come for me, Apple. But yeah, I mean like from there I just kept making, kept learning more about how to structure songs, and then um I didn't learn music theory until like very late, until like because like music wasn't a huge thing where I went to school.
Yeah.
But then I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston. I graduated last May. Um yeah, and that's where I learned like theory and just like got more comfortable with like musicianship and like integrating everything into production.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been evolving since I was young, and that's where it
Um,
comes from. I just do it out of passion, and that's why.
yeah. Were you over in England when you were at school learning all of that? Is that right?
Yeah, so actually, I grew up in the UK. So I grew up near London in Uxbridge.
Yeah.
That's where I went to school. And yeah, so I was there for 14 years. So that's basically like my home. Like, my parents moved out here in like 2019, so I made the move out to California after graduating school in Boston.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Would you say moving to America has helped your music career grow, or do you think it would have been the same if you stayed in England?
yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I mean, the the scene in England right now is it's pretty nice, man. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the artists that I listen to are coming out of the UK, and I think it would be interesting to see the difference. But I think going to school in Boston specifically for music like helped me meet a lot of musicians, and I don't know, I made a lot of good connections and was inspired to like become a better musician because everybody was massively talented. And
Yeah.
uh I mean, I think inspiration just comes from what you make of it and like how willing you are to like seek it out.
Yeah.
um and for me personally, I think the move to America was kind of like I needed the change and to be just surrounded by musicians because I didn't really have that around me in the UK.
Yeah.
Um, and it's partially my fault. I could have like seeked it out more, but yeah,
Uh,
I think that's just the way it happened, and everything happens for a reason in my eyes. So yeah,
yeah. What is that music scene like in Boston? Is it big, or is LA bigger? Or...
LA is definitely bigger,
Yeah.
but what I liked about Boston was like, again, it was just like the school, so very tight knit circle of musicians, and the scene was really nice, and just like everybody was willing to just like make music or hang out and jam or like just like connect, and like it was nice having everybody be able to relate to you on one extent or another. And then coming to LA, I've just like it's just massive, man. It's
Yeah.
so massive. Like
Yeah.
everybody here is doing it, and that's also great. It's super inspiring. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to get out more here, just because I'm like working so much, and uh, yeah, I wanna pursue the scene here as well.
Yeah.
The East Coast is fun. I really like Boston, New York. I was able to get out and do a bunch of shows and get people at the shows, which was awesome. It was like very rewarding.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Have you always, is this your own shows, like solo shows?
yeah. So I was doing a lot of like solo shows with a full band because
Yeah.
I really like playing music with a full band, and I just think it adds so much to a performance.
Yeah.
So I just learned how to do that, and it was rough at first. It's like performing it was not easy for me to get adjusted to, but the more I did it, like the better it got, and like
Yeah.
the more connected you get with band members, and
Yeah.
yeah, it ended on a good note in the East Coast, and now I got to rebuild it back in the West
Yeah.
Coast.
Is there a lot of like venues and stuff? Is it easy to find places to actually play rather than just the people to play with?
Yeah, I mean there are plenty of venues for sure. It's pretty accessible over here. There's like a few companies that early on that were like kind of did like the group booking thing.
Yeah.
And that was a good way in to get kind of show credits and like build your reputation in each of the cities.
Yeah.
So the way I did it was like I worked up in each city. Like getting to New York was tough, but like I think the first way we got there was like we did like a private rooftop show, and that was one of my favorite shows ever. It was really cool. It was very I don't know, it was beautiful. We were on the roof. We saw all the big buildings and
Yeah.
very intimate, just like me playing guitar, my other friend playing guitar, and like my friend playing drums, and we got a good amount of people there, and it was just like a good vibe.
Yeah.
And then we got a venue show later on, just because we had that one show in the past, and then from there I was able to book my own headlining show with two other artists at the Mercury Lounge, which is like one of my favorite shows I've ever done. It was
Yeah.
so much fun. And I just felt the arrangements were very clean. My band was amazing. Like shout out to all of them. They're great. So yeah, like you just have to kind of like take it one step at a time and like work your way up. It's like anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
What's the biggest sort of crowd? I know it's not a very good question. What's the biggest sort of crowd
No,
you
you're
played
good.
to, or biggest group of people, or whatever?
Let's see. Yeah, definitely that show I was talking about in New York. We sold like over I think like 120 tickets or something. It was a good amount for just like an independent show that we booked ourselves, and it was a proud moment. Like it's not like the most amount of people, but you know, just to be doing everything yourself, like, and see it pay off is really cool.
Yeah.
It's like that's where you wanted to get to from the beginning.
Yeah.
But honestly, like in Boston, the house show scene was really cool, and I have no idea how many people were at those shows, but it was always packed, and like
Yeah.
the energy was high, and I just prefer like when the crowd's energy is at a level that is responsive, and like
Yeah.
it just makes the show so much better. And I love stuff like that where it's more intimate and
Yeah.
people really interact.
Do you ever get anxious about performing though, or just going out in front of people?
At first, yeah. I mean, it was very nerve-wracking for me. I don't know. I get pretty bad imposter syndrome sometimes, and like that when I first started getting out there and doing shows, it was like it was definitely I was anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stage fright and the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, the more I did it, it was like I just got more comfortable, and then it was like, oh, here we go. Let's just like make it better each time, and then you just get more comfortable on stage, and like you don't really think about what other people are perceiving of you. You just think about clicking with the band and like making it sound good and feel good. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So when you actually started, you know, taking it seriously as a potential career, did your music pick up straight away, or was there like, I don't know, hurdles that you had to get over, or did it just become something that you could take up as a music career straight away?
I mean, to this day, there's still hurdles. It's like, it's tough because it's hard to get streams to translate to like socials and like real life ticket sales or merch sales. It's tough because you gotta figure that out and like really grind out social media, and that's like the biggest hurdle for me right now. Is like I just need to focus on that, and then focus on branding and marketing and like getting everything out in a way that is cohesive and artistic and is engaging to people. You want to like you want to give people a reason to check out your music rather than like ask people to check out your music, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm gonna try to work on more. Um, as for how it actually got started, it was just, I think, like, I was just putting a lot of music out. I mean, I was putting stuff out for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I think the first time any of my music started to see any kind of traction was in like 2019.
Oh.
And that was just like purely algorithmic success on Spotify.
Yeah.
And then from that, I was like, okay, let's be consistent, like consistently like drop good stuff on a regular basis and make it cohesive. And then from that, people became interested and started to check out more things. And yeah, I think it's all about consistency and just trying to create a product that people will appreciate and
Yeah.
give them a reason to pick it up. Yeah.
So with that reason to check it out, is that through like the lyrics you write, or is that the backstory to the song, or is it just solely how you market it to people?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I feel like it just depends on what the product is. Like if it's a song that's very lyrical and very like emotional, I think that's, yeah, you're right. Like that could be the main selling point is the lyrics and how you can relate to people. And I think that's been my biggest strength.
Yeah.
In terms of music, and where I need to step up my game is like in the video, and because I don't have any real music videos out, or like the visuals and like make it all come together. But yeah, that's interesting because one of my songs, the first song that got any traction was the song I put out called Train to Imperia.
Yeah.
And those lyrics, like the first verse I wrote as a freestyle on SoundCloud over like a Tiana Taylor beat. And that started to blow up on SoundCloud. Like I mean, blow up and semi-blow up, but at the time I was like freaking out. It was like the most numbers I've ever seen. And I was just like, wow, okay, cool. So I released it as a song. It also blew up. So in my mind, I'm like, there must be something about the lyrics that is relating to people on a level that they want to keep listening to it.
Yeah.
Especially because like I just changed the beat and it still did well. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself writing, like it's sort of the same question, but find yourself writing lyrics that are going to go like down better with the consumer, so the listener, or is it you like to keep it on that sort of personal level?
Yeah, I when I write, I usually just keep it on the personal level.
Yeah.
Obviously think about how a song's gonna, I don't know, I think it's more about making it work musically, and I think when it works musically, it's more appealing to a listener.
Yeah.
You don't want to get too wordy with things. It's just like basic songwriting stuff where you figure out how it sits with the music and structure wise, so that it's not too much, but it's also not too underwhelming.
Yeah.
And I think when you sit down and you write very personal songs, it's like it already sets you apart from a lot of people that are writing to write hits, or like it just depends what you want to get out of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like there's no wrong. Songwriting is like very up to the individual, but the way I approach it is very for myself. It's like when I write, it's mainly just reflecting on my life, and I'm like, I consider like a therapy session almost. You're just sitting there like getting these ideas out and kind of venting to a notepad. So,
yeah. Is that what the hope someone could connect with what you're feeling?
Yeah.
Or just So
I mean, oh sorry, I was just gonna say like
right.
It's the hope that somebody would connect, or like it's where it's just kind of like trying to be vulnerable and understanding that like a lot of other people feel the same way.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So
what is that? Is that what you want to get out of music and your music career, to sort of just help other people who don't really know what they're feeling?
That's been the most, I think, rewarding thing for me personally, is like just like reading DMs from people that have like said like it's helped them through really hard times, or like they can really relate, and it just like that's what I love to see. It's like I don't really care about how many people are listening, as long as like the people that are listening are connecting on that deep level.
Yeah, if it's the right people that are
Um,
listening, yeah.
yeah, I think it's just more rewarding for me. I think it just makes me happy to see that, and that people can relate to like my tough times, and like I'm not alone in it as well. So
Yeah.
And-
So you also mentioned at the start that you're a producer. Do you enjoy like being a songwriter and a singer more than a producer? Or is it the production side more you enjoy?
I kind of enjoy both equally, honestly. I like to create, and I think recently I've been not able to create as much as I was a few
Yeah.
months ago, and it's just kind of made me realize how much I miss doing that. Because now I've been working on more of the engineering side, and it's cool. It's fun. I'm getting much better at it, but I think it's certainly less creative than being in the room, coming up with ideas, and ultimately that's what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
So, um, I enjoy both equally, and whenever I get the chance to do either, I just jump on the opportunity.
Yeah. But so you see the engineering as more a pathway into the singer-songwriting?
Not necessarily, just because it's one of those things that you have to like study very deeply and get pretty good at, and that's what I studied in school, which is why I'm doing it. But ultimately, it helps my production skills and just like myself as an artist, just so I know how to make things sound clean and good. Um, it's pretty helpful. It's a helpful skill to have.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I wouldn't say it's like a pathway into songwriting, just because it's very much like a hard skill that you can have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how? So now with millions of artists around the world, how hard do you find it or think it is to break into the music scene and actually make a career out of music in terms of being a songwriter or a producer or an engineer?
That's a good question. I think like there's there are millions of people, and it is extremely like overwhelming at times, especially with like TikTok, and just like it's just constant stimulation.
Yeah.
But because of that, I think if you're able to come up with a good idea and a good foundation and set yourself apart from like the millions of people that are doing the same thing,
Yeah.
it's by no means easy, but like it's definitely doable. I think there's a lot of like people that think it's impossible, but it's if you know the right people, and I think the biggest thing is to network. I think if you're
Yeah.
not out there meeting people all the time, or just like talking to people and just making genuine connections, it's not networking just for the purpose of, oh, I know this person. Is networking to like just make genuine connections
Yeah.
with people. I think it'll fare well for like a lot of musicians that are like solely focused on numbers or like how well their videos are doing. It's like if you know the right people and you make good connections and you're just fun to be around, I think it's very beneficial, and it's a good way into the music industry that way.
Yeah.
As for like other careers in the music industry, I mean, it's not as glamorous, I think, as a lot of people feel. But if you want to do it, you're gonna have to put in the hours,
Yeah.
and because of that, it's just it is doable. Like
Yeah.
as long as you put in the hours and you put in the hard work, like you can do essentially anything. Just again by meeting the right people, putting in the hours, and yeah, just working hard. I'd recommend like internships.
Yeah.
There, especially if you're in LA or New York or even London. Like there's a ton of things. There's a bunch of record labels, studios out there that are actively hiring interns. That's how I got into the studio work and the studio job. So, make a good case for yourself and apply, and you just meet people naturally doing those things.
Yeah. Do you think record labels still have the same sway that they used to in terms of making someone famous now that someone could, like, I don't know, post their song on whatever social media and then be a star overnight? Do you think they have the same sway?
I don't think they have the same sway. I think they're extremely powerful still. I think if you get with a label, they can fund everything. they help you out
Yeah.
like astronomically with promotion. I think it's a very helpful thing to have if you want it there.
Here.
But if you want to do everything by yourself, and you can do it, it's just very difficult. It's a lot more work, and it's a lot harder on
Yeah.
I think your mental health
Yeah.
and just your physical health, because you have to be grinding like constantly. But yeah, that being said, you can make yourself successful
Yeah.
by just doing it yourself. Yeah.
Is there any reason
For
why
sure.
people don't take up those record deals then, if they're presented to them? Do you think?
Yes. Like, I think a lot of record labels take advantage of people. I think that's
Yeah.
a very well-known thing.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, there's a big reason is creative control. I think a lot of people, including myself, I just want to have creative control over everything that I make, and own your songs, own your masters. That's a big reason.
Yeah.
Because you never know where they'll go. Like, you could land a sync deal and they want to use your song in a movie and they pay you insane money for it. Like,
Yeah.
if you were with a label, they'd have to go through that and like choose whether it's worthy or not to be on there.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that, making decisions for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge priority for me. Would I sign with the label if the contract was okay and fair? Yeah, I mean, they're very helpful, but at the end of the day, like, it just depends what you want.
Yeah, definitely. I saw you do some film scoring as well, or video scoring.
I've been, I want to get more into it, but I've been like scoring my brother. My brother's an animator,
Okay.
so I've just been scoring his like animations, and it's pretty fun. It's a good experience. But I haven't been scoring any like movies. I think that's another world. Like, if you want to get into it, it's
Yeah.
like that's gotta be your 100%. Like, you gotta do what it takes to get to that point where you're scoring films. And
Yeah.
right now, I don't know. I've got my eggs in too many baskets, and I want to just like
Yeah.
hone in on one thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So from people in LA or friends around you or artists around you, is there anyone who you think is going to be like the next big thing or the next big star?
Honestly, like, all my friends, like, I'm hoping, and they're talented enough to where I'm like, they can make it. I think, yeah, just like all my friends I'm like writing for. I hope
Yeah.
everybody is successful. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of the people that I know and that I work with, it's more about just like being fulfilled through what you're making and putting out in the world. Like,
Yeah.
they're really, I think at a certain point in the industry, when you're being your most genuine self and when you're putting music out that is the most genuine to you, you'll start to see success.
Yeah.
And part of that is like being genuine in everything from music to meeting people. Because it's almost instantaneous. You can tell somebody is like being fake or trying to like
Yeah.
use you for something. So yeah, I'm just hoping like all my friends make it, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So your creative process, whether you're writing a song for someone else or composing, whatever, what does that look like if you're, say, in a studio? How do you come up with ideas or bring the ideas together?
Honestly, like, the way I've been doing it since I was like a kid, I would always just like make a beat first and just top line it and write over it.
Yeah.
Especially with raps, like when I rap, it's just like I rap to the vibe of the beat, so I just finish the beat first and then write over it. But as I like start to sing more and as I start to like be more of like a composer with my production in terms of like really like thinking out arrangements and making it like a song instead of a beat.
Yeah.
I just messed around with, a bunch of different instruments. I try to like keep everything flowing and keep everything interesting throughout the song. So I'll sit down and like lay down a drum groove or play some chords and then add some things on top of that and just like it's kind of just like building blocks. It's like if you're playing with Legos, like you're just
Yeah.
stacking until you have like a final product. Um, yeah, and sometimes I'll write lyrics first, or sometimes I'll just write lyrics down, write ideas for lyrics or songs, and then use those later. And yeah, just form, just like, yeah, it's, you're taking everything and forming it into one.
Yeah. So I don't really know how it works, but if you're writing a song for someone else, are you taking like stuff they tell you or their ideas and then writing something musical with it and something that works with
Okay.
a song, or are you just writing something that's yours and then sort of giving it to them?
Right. I mean, yeah, there's multiple approaches. Like you could do the whole route where you're just writing your own song
Yeah.
and pitching it to other people. A lot of songwriters that I know do that. So they're just writing songs and pitching it to artists and landing placements. Or you could go like the co-writing route where you sit down with an artist and you guys are just got guitars in your hands or you're on a piano and you're like coming up with these ideas yourself. You're relating to similar experiences you've had. And that's how the song gets formed. It's like you're just communicating and
Yeah.
sharing experiences. And I love that side of songwriting. I think that's a very, very fun and interesting side because you learn so much about people and other artists and yourself. And I think it makes for better songs, honestly. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there any one or anything you take inspiration from when writing, or is it just, I don't know, solely you and your own creativity?
Yeah, I mean, I think lyric wise, it's solely just like I just write my thoughts and I write my ideas. But I mean, I am definitely inspired by lyricists and like especially with raps. Like I'd grow up listening to certain rappers, like and just be inspired by how they flow and how words flow together. And there's so many. Like I could name some, but it's like I just take inspiration from whatever I hear that I like. Um, and then music wise, I think that's where I pull the most inspiration from other artists because um, I don't know, I just like listening to things and picking up on what they're doing with like chords or rhythms and trying to make it my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it just depends on whatever I'm listening to at the time. I think my first album where I was listening to a lot of like D'Angelo and Jay Dilla and just like a lot of different things that came together to make kind of like a cohesive sound. And I like doing that whenever I decide, okay, I'm going to sit down and work on a project. I'll just like take whatever I've been really into at the time and try to like make that my own.
Yeah. So your biggest song, Train to Imperial, that you mentioned before, that now has over 1.5 million streams. The artist who you did it with, Lizzy McAlpine, she's blown up recently and over the last few years quite significantly.
For sure.
So what was the sort of story behind that song and the story of working with her?
Honestly, like we were friends in university, so we used to just make a bunch of music together, and yeah, she would go in my dorm room and we would just record and just create, and it was really fun. And that just came together. Like I was like, hey, do you want to sing on this? Like we'd send each other stuff and got opinions from each other, and that's just how it came together. It was like it was just sent her the song. She just recorded the amazing vocals that are on it and killed it. Yeah, and then I got my homie Caleb, who played trumpet on it to like kind of riff with what she was doing.
Yeah,
and it just came out like I was so happy with it. I think when I got all of that back from both of them, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Super talented and like, yeah. So we were just friends in university, and that's how we met and just made so much music.
Yeah. Did you know that song was gonna sort of blow up when you made it?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Yeah, it was crazy. I was just like, I put it out and I was like, I didn't really think much of it like at the time. I mean, I was barely hitting like thousands of streams at all. And then I put that out and like people really liked it. They responded to it well. Yeah, and that like was crazy to me. I just like woke up one day. I was like, why are there like 50 people listening to this at once? This insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just came about pretty randomly. Like I literally at the time I was just making music to make music and put it out for fun. I didn't really have any intention of anything blowing up, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of my music back then was super genuine, and it's easy to get caught up in things blowing up.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get back into the mindset of like it doesn't matter, just make things to have fun.
Yeah.
Because that's when I feel like my best music comes out.
Yeah. So for thinking forward into the future, have you got any more songs with Lizzy coming out, or anything you're trying to create yourself, or where you're trying to steer your career?
Yeah, nothing was with Lizzy just yet, but for myself, I'm trying to just find a sound for myself right now that I'm happy with. I have been working on a lot of music, but it's really down to just like finishing it and like crafting it, and I really want to prioritize like creating a world in terms of like sonics, in terms of visuals, in terms of like storytelling. I want to make it like very creative and very just very cohesive.
So is it
it's coming
something
together.
new, like a you sound that you want to make?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something new. I mean, the stuff that I have it's similar enough to what I've put out in the past to where people wouldn't be put off by it, but it's new enough to like turn some heads and like try to find a broader audience as well.
Yeah.
I
So
think.
yeah, is it? Sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good.
All right,
No,
good. So, how do you? I know you said you're trying to get into social media and all of that. How do you actually plan to introduce your music to new people in the future, and market yourself in different ways?
That's a good question. We're figuring it out. But I want to have a decent like posting schedule and just share little bits of like I think the process. I think a lot of people would be interested in just how things are made and how things are created.
Okay.
And I want to like just have things at the ready so that when I meet people and get their connections, they can check it out and like it's right there for them. Like
Yeah.
what they want to see is there, and then they can decide whether it's like worth being a fan of or just like discarding, which is fine. But yeah, I think that's the goal. I just want to be consistent and share ideas and share process with people. I mean, I used to stream like just myself making beats on Twitch at a certain point, and that was I want to probably pick that up at some point again because it was really fun. I think people would tune in and just check it out that also didn't know much about music production and just ask questions and just be very attentive to the process. And I think that's a good route for me to go just because I prioritize that process so much.
Yeah.
And I'd love to share it with people, you know, even just like teach people how to do things and like inspire people.
Yeah. So is it almost building up almost a social media career, which to then transfer over to your music? Is that sort of what you're saying?
I mean, I think in this day and age, if you want to have the audience, that's kind of the way it has to be. I mean, you're still having a music career. I think the way that you should go about it is like while you're making music, come up with something quick that you can like film yourself doing and post it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, I don't think you need to, like, it does have to be like a social media career, but it doesn't have to be like super planned out or super meticulous about what you're posting. It's just like have content at the ready to share with people that is impressive and engaging, I think. And while you're making music or writing songs, like that can be as easy as like if you're tracking something, say you're tracking drums, just like the last like minute of whatever session you have,
Yeah.
like record a cover, like a 30-second cover of something, or if you're writing a song, share like a verse. So something like that. I think that's a good approach to take.
Yeah. Is
But you do have to keep it like consistent.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure.
being quite authentic and like real with the audience when trying to do that important, do you think? Rather than almost like, I don't know, bigging it up for the camera and be like, oh, we're here, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely important. I think people can see right through it when you are like kind of not genuine.
Yeah.
So I think the authenticity is very, very important. And for me, like I think that's kind of just been my brand for the past few years, is just like being myself. I don't try to like do anything other than be myself in my music. So I don't see any reason to do it outside of like music in terms of social media or meeting people. You know, I think people either like you or they don't. And I
Yeah.
think the best way to figure that out is like just being genuine.
Yeah. So it's a bit, it's not a very good question again, but just out of interest, if you weren't doing music, is there anything else you'd sort of see yourself doing, or something you'd maybe, I don't know, like to do other than a music career or something musical?
Honestly, like I almost went and studied film
Yeah.
because I did like in school I did the IB, and I did like IB film
Yeah.
as my higher level, and it was intense, and I really liked film and the creative process of that. Uh, but I just decided that like I had more of a passion for music. But I think I would, if I wasn't doing music, I would do film or something just completely unrelated, like like urban development or like
Yeah.
something like
So
city
random.
planning, something like that. I love that kind of stuff, man. It's just random, but it's what interests me. So
Yeah. So do you think learning these little bits of things that can help you come like useful when building your career? So if you're learning this little bit of how to film something or how to use a camera and how to edit, and then a little bit of something else, and then do you think they sort of collate into building yourself up, so you can learn how to film yourself to then post it, and then learn how to edit to post it? Do you think that's
definitely,
helpful?
definitely, I think learning how to like edit and film things, and I was really into photography for a little while, and I still kind of take photos of people now and then, but learning how to just have like an artistic eye for every aspect of it, I think is super important, because there are a lot of people that make great music but don't have that kind of vision artistically,
Yeah.
and I think it holds their music back. I think creating, and if you can't, if it's a lot to deal with, like I think it's important to surround yourself with people that have a good creative vision and just build your team, because the truth is like you can't do it all by yourself. I think if you can, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's helpful for like creating, I don't know, content, but I think ultimately the goal should just be like find people that you click with as friends first, and then, you know, artistically, and just like create like for fun.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I feel like that's been my main theme throughout the whole thing. But like, yeah, I think that's just the way it is. I
Yeah.
think you gotta surround yourself with people that you truly enjoy making things with.
Mm. So looking at the music career as a whole, what do you think the future of the music career is? Because I've seen recently in the news there's been like AI covers of songs that sound exactly like real artists, and like whole songs can be mixed by AI, and all like robots are sort of taking over. So what do you think the future of the music career is, if you know an AI could write, produce, and then master a song all by itself?
Yeah, that's crazy. No, that stuff is, dude, we talk about this at work all the time. It's like, it is wild, because it's replacing so much of that technical side of things.
Yeah.
And as an engineer, you're just kind of like, oh my God, like what is happening? I hope we don't lose work because of this. But I think that's why it's important to just have your eggs in different baskets at times, and like try to just have skills in the same field. Like, it's still music,
Yeah.
but say like if you're an engineer that plays an instrument, go back to playing your instrument because,
Mm.
and you don't have to do it all the time. It's just like keep it consistent because the one thing AI can't do is like play live music and interact with the crowd.
Yeah.
I think live music is gonna make a big comeback because of that. I mean, it's still huge. Like, it never went away, but I guess from COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it's a huge question. Like, I don't know where it's gonna go, but I think there's gonna be a bunch of like legal action stuff with the AI covers, and it'll just be interesting to watch. But I'd say like prioritize like the kind of stuff that AI can't do, like sitting down with people and writing
Yeah.
emotional experiences, because AI can do a lot of things, but it can't have emotions. It's
Yeah.
so that's the most important thing. Music is very emotional.
Yeah, definitely. So as a final sort of question, where do you see yourself in, I don't know, however long, or where do you want to be? Is there something, a goal you want to reach, or?
Yeah, I think I just want to be within like, I'll say like 5 years. I just want to be able to like make music full time. Whether it's for myself or producing for other artists. I think I want to be able to have my own kind of control over what I do with my time, and just have a consistent amount of clients that come to me for production or mixing, or just be in control of your own schedule.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go on tour. That'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
While I'm still in my 20s, just be able to do that at least once.
Yeah.
Be a great experience.
Do you think touring's tough as something to do? Because I always hear like the massive artists, I don't know, Ed Sheeran or Elton John, talking about how great it is to be there for the fans and interact with the fans, but then also the like quite mental, physical health side of it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man, touring is definitely not luxurious. At like an independent artist level, yeah, man, you got to cut your budgets. You got to live it. You got to rough it for a while. So
yeah,
it's not as glamorous as people think when you're at kind of a smaller level. I think once you get to the point of like Ed Sheeran or Elton John, everything's just kind of done for you. They have like
it's all sorted
millions of dollars pumped into it. But I mean, as hard as it is on your mental and your physical, it's like, I think it's just worth it to like just experience, just connect with fans, and play music for a living, which is cool.
Yeah. And, I mean, if that's your thing, definitely, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll probably finish up there, unless you have anything else to talk about or say.
No, I think it's good. I mean, thank you so much for
cool. No, thank you very much for coming on
the podcast.
The first international guest, which is it's a little bit weird.
Oh, really?
To think, yeah.
Nice, man.
But yeah, so,
dude, I miss the UK, man. I really do. I was thinking about like maybe one day I can move back to London, and I miss it a lot.
Is there anything in particular, or just general?
Man, just like the lifestyle. Honestly, it's very different. Miss like being able to walk places for sure.
Yeah,
LA's a very driving central place. I miss the people, man. British people, y'all are great.
different too,
yeah, no, yeah, and the humor. My British humor is on another level for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully one day I can get back and spend some time there. But
yeah,
because it's just home. Like, that's the other thing. It's like it's just familiar,
Yeah,
it's just what I've known for most of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah,
cool. Oh, well, thank you very much for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.